Hello, everyone. This is Ask Guillem for Sport, and this is the usual living room where we've been doing this for 2 months now. But now I can actually go out and do it from somewhere else if I wanted to. Well, I've been able to for a while, but I am having a bit of a Robinson Crusoe syndrome. I'm not going out. I'm not going out a lot. In any case, things will change a little by little. I feel braver. For instance, this week I'll be able to go down to the beach, so I probably will be doing that. I'm not sure aesthetically what you think of these things, but these are my new earbuds, and I hope you can hear me all right with them. It's a little bit of a test today. So I want to talk to you first about La Liga and the return of La Liga. I think you all know now that on the 11th of September, that's 10 p.m. Spanish time, you'll see Sevilla Betis, and that's the return of La Liga. Then you'll get to see Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid in the following few days. And with the period of, I think there's a break after that, but then it'll be almost like every 3 days you'll be having those big teams playing. 72 hours will separate, a minimum 72 hours will separate the games. But there will be football in La Liga every day, from Monday to Sunday. More things that are happening, just to put you in context of how things are going. I've just had a tweet from somebody asking that if it's only in England that people actually moan and argue so much about things. But to be honest, in every league, there's always been discussions. And it's good that there are discussions, that is not just led by one party in this very complex situation. But one thing that players in Spain managed to get ahead was the lack of concentrations. So to be, La Liga wanted first 1 week or even 2 weeks to be in hotels just before the game, the first game anyway. In the Bundesliga, they did it for a week. Eventually, it's voluntarily. If anybody wants to do it, I think Granada will actually stay together for a week before the first game. That's up to them, but it's not an obligation. And so players got their way in that. Collective training started on Monday. What else? Real Madrid will play, interestingly enough, in the Alfredo Di Stéfano Stadium. I've been. It's really cozy. It's really nice. It's better than most stadiums in the third division, or it's some of them in the second B. 6,000 people capacity, and it's obviously used by the B side. What else? The idea as well is that La Liga will finish at the end of July, but will start on the 12th of September, unless Spanish clubs end up being in the Champions League final, and that may delay it a little bit. But that's something that Tebas wanted to happen, which is the La Liga should start with hardly no holidays, which is interesting. At the moment, I haven't heard any players moaning much about it, but it means that some of them will have 2 weeks holidays only. Right, so what else can I tell you about it? That you know, of course, Barcelona is ahead by 2 points from Real Madrid. There's still a very interesting battle for the Champions League, and still it's got to be decided which team will go down. That is what La Liga calls an applause to infinity, a tribute to the those that were in the front line during the pandemic and still are. And there will be a pre-recorded applause in videos in the stadiums in the minute 20 of every match. That's one of the things that La Liga wants to do, so everybody gets the due share of homage, if you like. Fans are not allowed in. That's another thing that I wanted to discuss. They're not allowed in yet, but La Liga has got the intention of starting the season in September with 30% capacity. In November, 50% capacity, and full capacity from January. That, of course, is because it's obviously another party of this big industry that perhaps hasn't been considered that much. It's also another way of bringing money to the clubs. It's a way to go back to normal somehow, or to some kind of normality. So all that will always depend on the government, if the government allows it. But that's what they would like. As you may have heard, in Poland, the clubs have asked for the access of 999 people, which is the maximum capacity at events in Poland, and let's see if they get it. There are other leagues that will try little by little to bring fans in, and I think there is a movement. Only heard this in England, by which if you allow 300 people in the stadium, why not 10, even 10 from each side, from each club? Why not? Fans are an important part of this. But anyway, let's see how that goes. La Liga will put the natural sound when you hear the games in La Liga TV. If you haven't gone on that for a month, it's free, by the way, La Liga TV. Go to at La Liga TV on Twitter or my own timeline, and you get information of how to do that. That's in the UK only. But yeah, you will be able to listen to the natural sound or to fans sound as well, that they're gonna try to put as a possibility for you to follow the game. That's it for the general talk. Let's go to your questions. James Cathart, he says, hope you're well. I'm well. What are your thoughts on Saul Niguez? Is he up there with the very best? That's the first question. And what do you make of his new club 3 days Twitter post? First of all, absolutely he's there. I've always thought that. And I think he works against himself to be so versatile and to do well wherever he plays. Hence, he's been used sometimes as a left back. He plays on the right-hand side. I think I counted a game in which he changed of position 5 times. And that works against him. He's always been a midfielder, but I remember he went to Rayo on loan from Atletico Madrid, and he was a centre-back. At that time, Everton, David Moyes, looked into the possibility of buying him. It was suggested to him. He decided against it. He was 19 at the time. But the one who suggested that to him knew that Saúl was going to be superb. And I think if he had the possibility of making the centre midfield his own, perhaps even in a different club, I don't know, he will be one of the best midfielders in the world. David Moyes, I'm saying it in Spanish, David Moyes tried to get him when he was at Manchester United, but there was no real chance. Now, the new club 3 days. What do you think? First of all, and by the way, there is no information. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows what it is apart from the people involved, of course. But it's pretty obvious in my eyes, or that's what I think. First of all, he's a big Atletico Madrid fan, or he feels very close to the club. He has renewed his contract despite having interest from others. He will always tell the club if he's leaving, but that will be at the right time if he leaves. Do you think he will put a post on Twitter to say that he's going to another club? Doesn't that sound to you like a bit of a commercial exercise of some kind? It does to me. I may be completely wrong, but it sounds to me like a big commercial thing. For newspapers to actually go for it, it's like, well, the trick was basically, they fell for the trick, because that's not how Saul does things. That's not how Saul does things. And Atletico Madrid will tell you they don't expect anything because he's not leaving. So I think I answered it there. But he has kept you busy. And yes, saw me when I'm mentioning Manchester United, etc., etc. We will see on Wednesday. Perhaps by the time you see this, it's already all been confirmed. Man like Matt says, is there an update on Timo Werner to Liverpool? Should Liverpool fans feel confident that Werner or any signing would happen? I've always been told from Liverpool that they don't expect to do big deals, not in this transfer window. And for Timo Werner, who said no to other clubs, including Bayern Munich, and you may know that already, it's Liverpool or staying for another season. So right now it seems like staying is an option. It's not the time to position yourself in the market. The market may last much longer than people think. Perhaps in October, some clubs are asking for, so there'll be time to negotiate anything. Right now, the message from Liverpool is we're not going to do big deals in this window. That's what I've been told. Brand J says, well, asking lots of questions, see if I can answer some of them. Is Dembele likely to go out on loan? No, the intention is for him to, the intention is for him to play for Barcelona, recover from his injury, and perhaps arrive for the last 3, 4, 5 games of the season. May not risk him anyway. Secondly, they would like, I feel, to make him part of a deal with PSG for Neymar, but PSG don't want him at all. So it looks like he's staying. Is Barcelona interested in Aubameyang over? Yes, he was interesting to them when they were looking for a striker. They went for Timo. They were looking for Timo Werner, for Rodrigo Valencia. This was in January, and they went for talked to Aubameyang as well. Decided that neither of them was a possibility, so they got Braithwaite instead. How likely is Coutinho to join Arsenal? At the moment, it hasn't happened. It hasn't been discussions on it. There hasn't been no agreement on it. So Barcelona is still trying somehow to create, and his agents, his representatives, to try to create interest in the possibility of getting Coutinho. None of that is happening at the moment. Nothing is happening with Coutinho at this point. And about Saul's announcements, any hints? I explained it already. It's party that's Thomas likely to come or to move to Arsenal, I suppose. Now, what I'm hearing is that he's got a buyout clause of 50 million euros, and Atletico Madrid would like him to sign another contract, but he's not signing another contract. That's as much as I can tell you. Has it been contacts? There was a very clear possibility of him moving to England last summer. Spurs, Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal, they all inquired about Thomas. It didn't happen, but it tells you that perhaps is the player that Atletico Madrid will be more fearful of losing because he's growing, but is more willing to leave. And that's as much as we can say. This 50 million euros is an interesting figure, but not many clubs are going to go that far for Thomas. We've seen that PSG has already spent that on Icardi, and that probably will be already the record for this summer in the transfer windows. As if you follow the conversations we are having in the YouTube channel, you realize that it's going to be a very strange and interesting market. From Serge, B-Boy Serge says, I know the info from the paper should be taken with a pinch of salt. Not always. Depends who signed it. Depends the paper. Don't put everybody in the same bag. It's such an easy thing to do. And I think you're clever enough to realize that there are papers that they're looking for clickbait, others that actually are doing a lot of work to put stories out there for you to read. So don't put it all in the same bag. But where do these reports of agreed wages with Lautaro come from? Well, I mentioned it here about 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Everything is agreed with Lautaro. Everything is agreed. Now they have to convince Inter, and then is where the complications start. Inter will like if the value of 111 million euros is agreed, then yeah, fine, you can have it. But Barcelona said we can only offer you players and perhaps a little bit of money. They won Lautaro. They definitely won Lautaro. Rax J10 is asking, what are the plans for Trincao at Barcelona next season? Do you rate him and can you see him in the starting lineup? Not in the starting lineup, but because the transfer window is so complicated and Barcelona they realize that they're going to lose money this year. But they will try to keep getting rid of players, if possible, before the end of June. So that enters as this year's financial year. And then the next year, they can, if they keep selling, there'll be the possibility of filling that financial year with other deals. But they have to do it. Both sides of the financial year, they have to do it because they want to renew the squad. To do that, they have to get rid of players. Now, the idea is that Trincao, who's actually a good winger, who could be good in any squad of high level, could be part of a deal. And nobody's closing the doors to that. But for 30 million euros, there is somebody that can be valued at that. Maybe not now, he was when they bought him. Maybe not now because of the market has gone down. But I think he has the qualities to actually be a good player, but a squad player. not in the lineup. Tahir Mahmoud says, is there any chance of Semedo stays at Barcelona? I feel Barcelona making a huge mistake selling their only right back, with Roberto being a midfielder. Sergio Roberto will go back to right back if Semedo goes. He does a very good job, understands the game, and perhaps he's not the fastest, but has got a good intelligence of when he has to run. His defensive skills have improved. But Semedo is the one that Barcelona want to get rid of, because they feel he's one of those that, because of the length of the contract, they will be able to get, and the quality, of course, they will be able to get more money from. So yes, they will try to sell. Not sold yet, but they're trying to place him in every deal they can. And that's a lot of the stories, transfer stories at the moment. Simon Mansfield is also asking any news from Saul Niguez, announcement on Wednesday, and that's where I leave it. I told you my piece. We'll see on Wednesday, but that's not how Saul those things. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon, next week, in fact. Bye-bye.